Hello everyone, my name is Ian, the part-time Dungeon Master. Welcome back to D20 Sundays. I've got a friend by the name of SpoiledChestnut who, if you like D&D art, they will draw it for you. More specifically, if you come to their streams, they are often drawing something, normally a commission or Twitch emojis or something and so on, but they do original character Dungeons & Dragons, essentially commission art. It's pretty decently priced compared to some of the other places that I've been to. In fact, they did this picture for me. This picture is Dr. Eugene Fiddlesticks, a goblin artificer, alchemist to be more precise. And I've run him in James's campaign, which is the campaign of Aegis. Aegis is the character in my Searskin campaign, but the player, his campaign, I'm in. And I played Dr. Eugene Fiddlesticks in his campaign. And I paid SpoiledChestnut, some money to do this inked drawing for me. And this is a full body inked, so there are different prices. I'll put them either here on the screen, or you can go to SpoiledChestnut's Twitch and their Twitter and find all their information there. As well as, please remember, be respectful and pay your artists, because no one likes a cheapskate, and honestly, they need money to survive just like everyone else. So, with that being said, I hope you like the new shot, as it's got more, visual onto the stuff that makes my inner self tick, I guess. I've got my D&D stuff right here. You can't really see it with the way the camera is, but I got my D&D stuff here, with essentially 3rd edition, the 4th edition book, Pathfinder. I got my Magic the Gathering, got Spawn, some Star Wars, some random stuff, some Dark Souls. There's one statue a friend of mine got me for my birthday, and I've really liked it ever since. More Star Wars stuff, more random stuff, Final Fantasy, more me, But as far as to what I wanted to talk about today, aside from bragging about this shelf and all that jazz, I wanted to talk about a character by the name of Grinwald the Ugly. Grinwald the Ugly was an ugly human. I mean, ugly as sin. Like, dear God, why would you make something that hideously ugly? He had one eye that was bigger than the other eye, and it was always bloodshot. He had cracked and blackened yellow teeth that looked like a rusty bear trap that's been left out in the wild for too long. He had mangy hair and beard and warts and boils, and he was ugly. He was so ugly that goblins thought he was one of them. Now, the story behind this is essentially it was a one-shot that I was running for a bunch of friends, and, we just wanted to have some fun for one session, and it ended up taking 2 sessions to complete, because, well, we ran out of time and the shop had to close. But, essentially, the party was hired to deal with a bunch of goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears, and gnolls that had essentially started appearing in the area and sort of, conglomerating together. But no one could really figure out as to why, so the party was hired to go find out why and to deal with them. At the end of combat with the goblins, because they ran into the goblins first, because that's the ones they wanted to take care of first, because they figured that'd be the easiest, only to find out that there was way more goblins than they thought. The reason being is they were the slave force, the labor force of, of all the others. So after, combat with them, they realized that Grinwald was missing. The reason why Grinwald was missing because he had been rendered unconscious. Yeah, he'd been rendered unconscious by a small group of goblins that essentially, I want to say waylaid him because they jumped from the shadows. And after beating him up, they realized, man, this guy's ugly. In fact, I think he's one of ours. And he was so ugly, they thought that he was a goblin that was just kind of tall and pale. So they dragged him away. They healed him back up, and, he went to essentially be brought before the chieftain, to find out what the heck's going on. And Grinwald decided to fireball the chieftain. Killed him instantly. Rolled some really good damage. And then he proclaimed himself the chieftain of the goblins. And the other goblins were like, seems legit to me. Yeah. So the party, unaware as to what was happening with Grinwald, decided to, continue on, it's like, okay, the goblins aren't truly the main problem. That's most likely the gnolls, the hobgoblins, the bugbears. So we're going to go deal with, the bugbears. So the party, main party, goes off and deals with the bugbears, which they have admittedly a hard time dealing with, but, That's what happens. And then Grinwald convinces and essentially gives a rousing revolution kind of speech. Like, this is our revolution. Too long you and my kin have been downtrodden and forced to be nothing more than fodder and workhorses for those dumb big hobgoblins. We're gonna go and we're gonna beat them up and we're gonna take their stuff and we're gonna pee on them. And the goblins are like, yeah, let's pee on them. Not my proudest moment as a dungeon master, saying that, but Anyways, so Grinwald the Ugly decided to essentially rouse them up into a big frenzy and essentially start a revolt. And they went and kicked the crap out of the hobgoblins. And I do mean they kicked the crap out of the hobgoblins. He amassed every goblin he could to go and kill off the hobgoblins and gave them support using his own magic to, essentially help make quick work of them. And by this point, the players, the rest of the party, had dealt with the bugbears. And it's like, okay, we're going to end the session here because it's going to get interesting in the next session. So all left is the gnolls and then the goblins. So, and also we kind of ran out of time at the shop. So we come back, the next week to do the next session. And it was interesting. See, Grinwald the Ugly had decided that he was going to storm the gnolls with his goblins. And the party had also decided they're going to storm the gnolls. So they had like a two-prong assault going on. And I was like, okay, you guys obviously figured this part out, while you're out of the campaign and all that jazz. Fine, whatever. Until the barbarian raged. See, the barbarian was a storm herald, and whenever he used his ability, everyone got hit. Everyone got hit. Everyone. The party, the goblins, the gnolls, Grinwald the Ugly. It was a mess then. Because the goblins were like, oh hey, the tall people are helping us fight the gnolls. Yeah, speed them up. Piss on them. And then once, the damage went through from the rage, the goblins were like, they're not our friends. They hurt us. They hurt Grinwald. We gotta kill them too. And Grinwald's like, wait, hold on a moment. But by then it was too late. So the goblins started fighting the party at the same time. So it was just like a big free-for-all going on. And Grinwald, not wanting his goblins to think that he was going to betray them, started attacking the party as well. He was like, hey, I kind of got it made as their chieftain. They kind of listened to me. I'm gonna lead them better, but I can't have you guys killing them. I really need them to survive, because he got into his head that he was going to amass a massive goblin army and take over the countryside and proclaim his own kingdom and so on. And yeah. Well, by the time combat had ended, I say it ended, everyone of the party, including Grinwald, was down to single-digit HP. There were no gnolls left. There were no goblins left. Everyone either was dead or had fled. And the party stared at Grinwald like, the fuck, guy? Why were you attacking us? We were coming to save you. And Grinwald went on to this big speech as to how he had this wonderful, great plan. And the party was like, shut up, come back and get paid with us. And Grinwald was like, okay. And that was the end of essentially that one shot. Was the fact that Grinwald, after being so soundly defeated, his armies routed, driven back by the forces of light, he just agreed to just like, okay, I'll come with you guys. And they went off to the next town after getting paid. And that's where we ended the one shot. And I don't know if we'll be able to, play again, because it was more of something like for us to play while we're waiting for the other campaigns to come through. But that's it, Grinwald the Ugly. So ugly, so hideous that goblins thought that he was one of them. And for a brief moment, because he had the idea of massive amounts of power, his own kingdom, where he rules over goblins and they rule over everything else. He was willing to betray the party and practically kill them in order to secure his fortune, or his destiny as he believed it was. But, at the same time, it's a one-shot, so it's not a very serious thing. But even then, the idea that a player would be willing to do that in a campaign in general is one of the reasons that makes Dungeons & Dragons great. Even if it's not like a true evil, kind of character, the fact that the idea of power, of wealth, can so easily sway them to do something that might screw over the party. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next D20 Sundays. Laters.